Stiles. And Andrew, I wanted to ask you, as someone at the Free Beacon, are you sensing pushback against Trump now from conservative media circles? You famously bought your staff the America Great Again hats a few months back, but times have changed.
Times have changed. I think a lot of people and a lot of conservatives, too, were entertained, amused by Trump when he first got in the race. It's becoming a lot less funny now with his kind of blatant fear-mongering and the ban on Muslims. It's not as funny anymore, and I think you're starting to see a lot of people get fed up. And you see the Republican establishment is also panicking a little with their plan to, what are they going to do at possibly a brokered convention to prevent Trump from becoming the nominee. It's not funny anymore, and I think it's totally fair for the media to kind of call him out on this. I think unfortunately, the practical impact is that a lot of people supporting Trump just don't trust the media, and it's going to make them like Trump even more.
I think a lot of us, maybe a year from now, are going to ask ourselves, are we proud of our Trump coverage, whether he's elected or not? Are we proud of his campaign coverage, or are we not proud of the way we covered his campaign? And I think there's going to be a lot of different answers to that question. Let me show what Campbell Brown wrote. Former CNN anchor Campbell Brown had this proposal in Politico magazine this week. She said, "Dear former colleagues, give us a week without Trump." Now, I asked her to come on the show. She said she can't because that would violate her proposal not to talk about Trump for a week. But Matthew Dowd, is there any possibility, any logic to a proposal like that?
No, I don't think there's any possibility, and there's no logic in it. Listen, Donald Trump is the dominant candidate in this race, and he's been the dominant candidate in this race since he announced in July. He is as dominant as many other candidates that won their GOP nomination in the past. He is as dominant as those candidates. And the other thing I want to address, is sort of the Muslim question in this whole thing, is Donald Trump has not dropped support in all of these polls. Ted Cruz has risen, Ben Carson has fallen, and Donald Trump has not lost a single vote. One of the reasons for that is if you take a look at these polls, even though a majority of Americans are opposed to some of his views, a majority of his supporters and a majority of Republicans are in support of his views on these issues. And so this isn't a media thing that the media somehow has to take Trump down, which I just do not like that whole narrative where somehow the media is responsible for taking Donald Trump down. The media is responsible, as you know, Brian, for presenting the facts as best we know them, trying to get at what the truth is, and then trying to engage with where the conversation is going with the candidates. It's up to the voters to figure out what they want to do with that. And right now, Brian, the voters, Donald Trump's voters, agree with him on these issues.
You say the word truth, so I want to put up a tweet from you from earlier this week. You wrote, "We are in a disturbing time in America where there is no longer agreed upon fact sets in politics. Tribal identity trumps the truth." John Ralston, do you agree with that we're in a situation now where we're post-truth?
Well, I think that Matt's point is right in that people who support Donald Trump, his core supporters, don't really care about the truth. They care that Trump is saying what they believe. He's standing up for people. But Campbell Brown's proposal is just, I understand her frustration, but it's just silly. You can't ignore the dominant front runner in this race. And I have to tell you, Brian, I don't think anyone should be shocked or should have thought Trump was funny from the word go. This is a guy who has talked about rounding up illegal immigrants and deporting them. He said awful things about almost every other candidate in the race. Anything can come out of this guy's mouth, which is why so many people are going to watch the CNN debate, I think, or at least partly.
You're saying he was never funny. Andrew, do you have a response to that?
Well, I mean, I think, like during the debates, for example, when he just makes fun of Rand Paul for even being on the stage, and just his tendency to just, criticize people blatantly, like, unlike any politicians. Compared to other politicians, he just makes them all look stiff, and his kind of ability to say anything was, when he first got into the race, at least a little refreshing and kind of amusing. And then, once he started actually proposing policies, I would say it got a little more real and less entertaining.